let's turn our attention to another small issue. Oh, yes, the cost of living. Let's talk to Ross Clark, who's a journalist and writer and joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit later in this half hour about the huge cost of living when it comes to mortgage deals being pulled because interest rates going to rise. That's a very big issue. But we have seen this argument about supermarkets and whether or not they should impose effectively their own voluntary caps on the cost of basic foodstuffs. But we've also got the issue of people shoplifting foods like coffee, indeed nappies and indeed baby formula as well, where we've seen an extraordinary picture from a supermarket in London of empty coffee jars that have been put on the shelves of the supermarket, basically as sort of show coffee jars. I think we might have that image there, sort of show coffee jars. So basically, they're around £9, £10 mark, some of them, and basically saying, if you want coffee, let us know, and then we'll go and get one. But they've been such a big issue with people shoplifting, they can't leave them on the shelves. Is that how bad things have got?
Well, it's a bit sad, isn't it? Because, I mean, our supermarkets are sort of based on the, around the assumption we can all go round and push a trolley around the aisle, have a look at the goods, have a feel of the quality and there's sort of, the supermarkets have become these great cornucopias of food and other goods. And, I mean, if they're sort of being hid behind shelves we have to actually ask for them, it's sort of taking us back to those sort of pre-supermarket days when you'd go into a local shop and everything would be behind the counter and you'd have to ask for some wheezy old guy to go and fetch it for you. But I think the supermarkets have slightly brought shoplifting upon themselves, to be honest, by sort of doing away with the checkouts and having all these self-service checkouts.
Hold on a minute. I think that's...
For some people, that's just a little too tempting.
I think that's a bit much. Now, don't say my local supermarket has now got sort of cameras on you when you're putting stuff through. I just permanently have a guilty sort of expression on my face, I think. So I'm always like, I walk through the supermarket holding food up. I'm not shoplifting this. I'm not shoplifting this. I'm going to pay. But I was thinking one of the reasons why we've got a massive spate of shoplifting is not just the cost of living and people going, I'm going to have to steal food, but actually it's because they know it's not punished. I mean, all the shoplifters, all the shopkeepers in my local street say it's an ongoing issue. Organised gangs of shoplifters, or even just people who just come in virtually every day, just come in, take stuff, they call the police say, oh, well, he's gone now, won't do anything. If he hasn't left the store, if they hold him, they'll do them for assault, and nothing gets done. And it's part of the whole sort of feeling of broken Britain where, it's just lawless and no one cares, the authority isn't on your side, and supermarkets have said, right, if you're not going to prosecute, we're going to make damn sure we're controlling who gets hold of some of the more expensive, desirable products.
Well, that is also true, isn't it? I mean, the police have sort of set themselves a target as beneath £200 or something value of goods. They're just not going to bother or something. In fraud cases is even worse. I mean, that's another story totally. But, if you defrauded of less than £100,000, just trying to get police action fraud or inaction fraud, as it ought to be called, to take it seriously is just
exactly. But
ridiculous. And of course, that does encourage fraud. It encourages not dealing with shoplifters, encourages them, and you just get this sort of complete collapse of honesty.
And meanwhile, by the way, prices for everyone else go up because it has to be paid for somehow. But we know that supermarkets don't make a lot of profit. They're sort of 2-3% profit margin. We often think that they must be making a fortune. And, during lockdown, they were the only places we were allowed to go for quite a few months. So they were still making money. But you've written a piece about, this idea of fixing supermarket prices, the idea of price caps. I mean, there's been a row this morning about this. Chairman of ASDA has hit out. He says these clumsy plans by ministers to impose price caps, although the government, at point, to be fair, said British Unite was calling on supermarkets to voluntarily do it. But even if it was voluntarily done, you still think it would be the wrong thing to do?
Well, absolutely. I mean, in a proper market, the price is fixed where, demand is in equilibrium with supply. And if you sort of artificially suppress prices, then, there'll be too much demand for the level of supply and you end up with empty shelves. And then, of course, we get more photographs of empty shelves and the Remainers will be blaming that on Brexit again. And, the reality is it will be down to price fixing. And, price fixing never works. It is true that supermarkets have long sort of lived with this sort of practice of loss leaders, where they'll reduce the prices of certain goods below cost in order to attract people into the stores, and then we pay for it through excessive prices on other goods. And so, I mean, I don't doubt that the supermarkets will, if the government wants them to do, they'll do some sort of deal, but it won't save us money because, as you say, Tesco is making a profit margin of 2% last year. The other supermarkets, the main supermarkets, all made profit margins of less than that, as Lidl and Aldi, particularly low margins. So,
they're going to put the price up on other things, aren't they? Ross Clark, we'll have to leave it there, but really good to talk to you. Always good to listen to what you have to say. Thank you for that.